Welcome back, America. I'm Greg Gutfeld with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and a teacup is her hot tub, Dana Perino. The 5 at 5. What the hell, NFL? They're kneeling, they're standing, they're locking arms. What's next, downward dog? Some players kneeled for the anthem in England, but stood for God Save the Queen. Yeah, because the British Empire was so amazing, it sent 3 million Africans into slavery. The players stood for the most imperialist empire of all time. I'm officially outraged. I now protest the protesters. See how easy that was? Some Redskins took a knee, so they're fine with what's on their helmet, but not the flag. Maybe because this issue has only one extra ingredient, Trump. And how about those Raiders? Their emblem's a pirate. I'm not sure, but I bet pirates weren't community organizers. So kneeling's now a protest against racism. Others say it disrespects the flag. Others sees it as a time to stretch their quads. That's LaShawn McCoy stretching during the anthem. He got 21 yards on 14 carries. So keep stretching, champ. Now, this all started with Colin. Nancy, can you help me with his last name?
Colin Kaepernick doing what he did.
Exactly. Colin took a knee, but let's not forget, he also wore socks with pigs dressed as cops on them. So don't blame Donald Trump for politicizing football. He didn't wear the socks or inject division into a game. Now, you can disagree with him, but don't be shocked by him. You protest on the clock, a businessman's going to want to fire you. You run a restaurant and a waiter starts chanting meat is murder, you're going to fire him. That's how bosses think. Believe me, I know. So you notice a trend here. What do the NFL, ESPN, the Emmys, the college campus, the Democratic Party all have in common? They're all crippled by identity politics. This politics of separation replaces patriotism, here literally, and wraps around your brain like a warm, suffocating blanket. So goodbye, football. Bow down to the new national pastime, identity politics. The worst team sport ever, because we all lose. All right, Juan, how awesome is this that now the anthem is the most exciting, important part of the game? I mean, that's kind of the net plus here.
Well, it's the news all weekend. I mean, that was bigger news than any of the football things, except for that guy who kicked the field goal at the end of the Eagles-Giants game and set a record.
Go Eagles.
I did that for you.
Broncos won too.
But I disagree with you about who introduced divisiveness here. I think Trump was being very and intentionally divisive. When he said this down in Alabama, I think he's thinking it's going to stir his supporters. And his supporters are on the other side of the Black Lives Matter issue. And he says, oh, I don't have any awareness that this is a racial issue. I mean, come on.
But he upsets, I think he offends and upsets every race, creed, or color. I mean, Paul Ryan is not black. John McCain is not black.
Robert Kraft is not black. Yeah. Robert Kraft is his buddy, and Robert Kraft said...
There you go. So it's not a race issue. There you go. Thank you for proving my point, Juan. This is the end of the show. We're moving back to 9. Kimberly.
Very good amicus brief there, Juan, in support of Mr. Gutfeld's argument.
Kimberly, everybody seems to be taking a knee everywhere but church.
Yes, well, that's the thing. Look, I don't like to see this happen in sports and in the NFL and, people staying in the locker room, but I love the guy that came out. Let me tell you, that was fantastic. So I think that the problem is the media has such an obsession with President Trump. They love him, but they hate him, and they love to hate him. They want to keep this thing going. He's going to be himself. He's not going to, go through some magic transformation because he became president. His personality, the way he is, and focus as like a businessman, that's where he comes from in his center, is talking about that. What's practical? Okay, well, if this was my business and this is what people were doing, this is what I would do. So he's giving sort of unsolicited advice. Does it have an impact? Sure. Because now people want to react and say, okay, we're not going to stand for the national anthem. We're not going to respect the country and the patriots because we're actually now peeved. Yeah. We're peeved at Trump, and we're irritated that he told us that we should stand.
Jesse, you know what? President Trump did what Colin Kaepernick did. He raised awareness. He protested. He used his voice. By the way, his name is Alejandro Villanueva. Top-selling jersey. Villanueva. Top-selling jersey in the last 24 hours.
That's right. Trump's not being divisive. The people that kneel during the anthem, I consider that divisive. Trump is criticizing divisive behavior and ripping people that kneel isn't racist. He spent the last week criticizing Crooked Hillary, who's as white as you can see. The only time the left defends football is when people disrespect the country. For the years, the left, before the controversy, there's a bunch of hooligans, this is a bunch of knuckle draggers,
Remember the brain injuries, too.
They're domestic violence abusers, you're taking men away from their wives on Sunday, the logos are racist. Now it's completely the opposite. Tim Tebow took a knee to pray. He was mocked.
Right.
These guys kneel to trash the flag, and they're celebrated as heroes. Now, Trump got a little carried away, I think, in Alabama when he used the phrase SOB. I don't think he'd use that word to their face. But I do think he was expressing the view of a majority of the country. No one thinks these guys should be kneeling during the anthem. It's disrespectful. It's not your platform to do it. You can't do whatever you want at work. You have the right to do it, but the boss has a right to fire you. The time during the anthem is a time to honor the soldiers who died fighting for the flag, not a time to push your grievance.
Dana, I'm okay with a protest. It's nonviolent. Nobody's getting hurt. But then you must be okay with the response, because the response is part of the protest. The protest is meant to upset people. So when the people get upset, how can you be surprised? How can you be mad at Donald Trump is essentially a viewer. He's a viewer who watches. He's every guy at home going, why are they doing it?
Well, and increasingly, a lot of women. I mean, that's one thing that's actually been impressive about the NFL in the past 10 years is that their marketing program has been about family. It's actually quite a conservative message, which is that everyone should gather together. That's what you should see that their marketing expertise when it comes to these jerseys. If you go and look at how many women were actually buying those jerseys, I bet it was pretty high. So they had actually diversified and done all these great things, and then Kaepernick does his kneeling thing. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And no one does anything. Right? So if you're wearing the uniform, I'm assuming that means you're at work.
Right.
If you're at work, are you allowed to do things that are against the rules of the organization? If we did that, we'd be fired. That has actually happened. So I think that when you think about divisiveness, I agree with Jesse. It started with Kaepernick wanting to make a protest. I understand that absolutely willing to do that. What I think is amazing here is that I don't necessarily think Trump meant to do this.
Really?
I don't know.
More
I mean, at his speech, I think he was just riffing.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, and by the way, and then all of a sudden, there goes Infrastructure Week again. But it actually helps solidify his base even more because people are like, you know what? Heck yeah, this is exactly what I believe. But I would bet for all of those people that protested, that kneeled, I think, what was it, 13% of players? That means that 81% or whatever.
It was like 1 out of 8 NFL players.
They didn't do it. Okay, fine. But if you were to ask all of them, why are you protesting? Why are you protesting? So it started with Kaepernick complaining that white officers were being let off for having killed black children in the line of duty. And he's mad about that, so he protests about that. Now, if you were to ask these people, why are you protesting? Well, I'm protesting because he called my mother. He insulted my mother when he said SOBs. I'm protesting because he insulted the franchise. It was about him. It was about them. So basically, now the protest is completely watered down.
Yeah, it's actually now if you are protesting the flag, you're protesting Donald Trump, which I think is a win for Donald Trump.
Exactly.
Are they conflating the issues?
Conflating, a great word. Shall we go to Donald Trump? I think he's saying something below a helicopter or near one.
I think it's very disrespectful to our flag and to our country. So I certainly think the owners should do something about it. There was great solidarity. I watched a little bit, and I will say that there was tremendous solidarity for our flag and for our country. This has nothing to do with race. I've never said anything about race. This has nothing to do with race or anything else. This has to do with respect for our country and respect for our flag.
Kimberly, this is quite a contrast. People see the flag and they go symbol of oppression. He sees the flag and this represents the courage of the country. Can we reconcile this?
Yeah, and service to the country. We can even reconcile. It'll be no problem. So yes, sees it as service to the country, patriotism. And you know what he said? I didn't just wake up one morning and say, okay, I'm a president without an opinion. He has an opinion. He was giving it. He's entitled to it. The people that are upset with him now, I guess they're kneeling because they're upset. They don't support, President Trump. I don't know. Again, let's talk about coming together as a country and about what, unites us, that makes this country so special and accepting and open and inviting to so many people from all over the world that have made families here and careers and established, for generations to be able to live and thrive here, so that this is a wealthy, strong, powerful country, a loyal country that can help others in times of need, like we've seen. That's the kind of country that I think we should be focusing on. And people are just letting their kind of I think their own inner insecurities are upset about the ideology overshadow the purpose of the anthem. And that, to me, is sad that it's getting lost and sort of misused in this fashion.
You know who was divisive, and I come back to this, is Donald Trump. And I don't think there's any question. I think the NFL owners said quite clearly the reason they stood on the field with the players, right, is because they said we are not going to allow ourselves to be divided by President Trump, who is using it as a political football, the NFL. I mean, there's no question when you look at the history of sports, right now, the teams didn't even get on the field for the anthem until recently. I think it's sometime in the early 2000s. I mean, they just played the anthem. Then then you saw the military start to buy events. They paid, and I thought that was outrage. I thought the teams like my team, the Washington football team, just put on this military display. No, they were being paid. The military sought this out very purposefully.
It was part of their marketing budget because they were looking to try to find people who would want to join.
Correct. And also just to build this whole sense of patriotism up. They're the ones that conflate it. And then but the final point, the key point to me is that what Colin Kaepernick did, and by the way, Colin Kaepernick's jersey is the top selling, generally, jersey in the country. So what you get...
A lot of social justice warriors out there.
And this guy who, for the Steelers, who stood, guess what he said? I agree with Colin Kaepernick.
I think the NFL completely mishandled it, as they mishandled Deflategate, concussions, and domestic violence. Right now, you have the NFL fining players for trying to commemorate fallen officers with a decal on their cleat or 9/11 victims. But there's no sanction whatsoever for kneeling during the national anthem. It's crazy. The Steelers player, Villanueva, you brought that up. He's now being criticized by his own coach for standing with his hand over his heart during the national anthem.
Why?
Ratings are down.
Why, Jesse?
Because he was the only one that didn't do it as a member of the team.
Because they had a team. It's like all of us got together and we made a decision. Sometimes
the country comes before the team. He's a veteran who served in Afghanistan for 3 tours. He's not going to stand inside while everybody else is singing the anthem. I'm just saying, Jesse, it meant something to him, so he did it.
The coach was not criticizing him for having a political stand. In fact, I think everybody would say hats off. This man served 3 tours. But the idea is the team made a decision, and even his teammates who love him said, we thought we were all in this together.
Okay, so this guy is not a hero, but Kaepernick, who was the only one who knelt, is a hero? You can't have it both ways.
Right. Yes, I can, because Kaepernick, in fact, to many people, is standing. You got to go back and look
How's Kaepernick standing?
Standing on principle.
We can continue this in the B block, because this story is not going away, much like us. We're here to stay at 5 p.m. We're never doing that again.
Yeah.
9 was scary. It was too late.
You go, Greg.
Mean people on the street out there.
Yeah.
All right, more on President Trump's feud with National Football League. And later, Sean Hannity joins us on set. You might have heard of him. He hosts the Lou Dobbs Tonight, I believe. We shall return.
Trump's anthem outrage at the NFL. A lot of people have been chiming in on the controversy who have no idea what they're talking about. Here's one of them, Grey's Anatomy actor Jesse Williams.
This anthem thing is a scam. This is not actually part of football. This was invented in 2009 as from the government paying the NFL to market military recruitment, to get more people to go off and fight wars to die. This has nothing to do with NFL or American pastime or tradition. This is to get boys and girls to go fly overseas and go kill people.
All right, so now it's completely gone off the rails with this whole protest thing. My theory is that the fans don't want these people kneeling. The audience doesn't want them kneeling. Ratings are down. The jersey of the guy that actually stood is the highest seller, yet the media thinks this is a big loser for President Trump.
I just like that now everyone has to issue a statement.
Yeah.
Every analyst, every athlete. They're trying to steal our jobs. This is what we do with the Five. I don't need to hear an actor from General Hospital. Nobody watches that show.
It's
By the way, who's Ray?
It's Grey's Anatomy. Meredith Grey. She's like the main female character.
I don't care about her. I love it how patriotism to them only matters when it's dissent. But then when they talk about the planes flying, then they call it flag waving.
Right.
Bob Costas, they'll call it they'll denigrate it as that's just flag waving. Right. But if you dissent, that's patriotic.
Now, there's a big disconnect, I think, between fans out there, like I was saying, and it's only a few players that are really doing this. The owners are caving because they don't want to upset a few of their players. But people don't like this, Dana.
They don't, and I think that what you're going to see is that this will trickle down to high school, college, high school, little league, and then it'll be like, well, my team stood and your team didn't. You imagine the parents of these teams. Like, civility hangs by a thread.
It does.
And I think that was one of the complaints about that President Trump could have, I think that he could have even done this a different way, which is to say, can't wait for you to come to the White House because we can all be together and it's going to be great. And he wouldn't have had the team say that he doesn't want to go. But what's amazing is that this week we could have led with any number of stories. Jared Kushner revelation about possibly using a private email account for government business.
We're not doing that story.
No, we're not going to do that story because we have this story to do. You could do the thing about Trump's backed candidate is likely to lose the election tomorrow. The Obamacare repeal and replace failing once again. But instead, what President Trump is able to do is to flip this around. And so the story everyone's talking about is how he's on the side of the flag and the country against a few greedy billionaires and overpaid athletes. So therefore, somehow this guy just keeps winning.
And we don't even think he did it on purpose. You think he was just riffing?
I don't think he did. I agree with Dana. I think that it came up. He's very spontaneous. He speaks extemporaneously. That's why the speech was over like an hour and 20 minutes, whatever it was.
Yep.
So, because he's just talking, he's riffing, he's saying what he thinks, the top of his head. He doubled down on it. He's not backing off on it. That's his opinion.
Right.
So, you can like it or not, whether you agree with him or not, he's authentic in that sense, in that he tells you what he's thinking and how he's feeling, and that's fine. And his friends can disagree with him, like Bob Kraft. They're very close. President Trump called him every day for the first week when his wife passed away. And he's friends with Tom Brady, but Tom Brady didn't appreciate this. He's a businessman. He's the highest paid player in the NFL.
They're scared.
They don't love this because, you know what? Ticket sales are way down, and the numbers, the ratings, all of it.
Yeah, they want to save their
franchise.
franchise.
This isn't good. You know who wants this to no moms?
NASCAR.
NASCAR wants no part of this.
Yeah, but Tom Brady doesn't want to be harassed on Twitter. He wants to still be popular.
By Giselle.
Yes,
to be like you.
You know, one thing that bothers me in this is people saying this is disrespectful to the flag. I think we all honor the flag, but the fact of the matter is this is about a social protest and people choosing their method of protest. These people are not burning the flag. They're not acting out of violence. What are they protesting?
Yeah,
it's very clear they're protesting how the police engaged in brutal tactics.
All right.
That's the original.
So what's in the game? Cops are there. Protest the cops. Don't I have the guts to go to the cops and tell them.
No, this is a mistake that you're making. You're generalizing about all cops. It's not all cops.
It's not all.
It's bad cops.
But the flag.
The
flag generalizes.
No, it does not, because again.
Then go protest in front of the
Let
precinct.
me just tell you something. If you talk about who politicized football in America, you go back and you look at who wouldn't hire black players, and you look at Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, no black players. You look at pro football teams that thought, oh, we're going to protect our heritage and tradition, and that means no black players.
Right.
That's part of the tradition.
So is that part of this protest too? I just want to be clear.
But I just want to be clear. You say, oh, bringing politics into it, and people say, oh, why do you have to
what I'm saying is,
my
if it's about cops,
game?
there are cops that are on the field. Why don't you go and have the guts to protest against them instead of the flag? Because they don't.
What are you talking
about? There are police
the
officers on the field.
I don't know anything about the cops standing there on the field. The cops standing on the field is
protecting the players.
Yeah. So that means bad cops.
You don't see the irony in that?
No.
I just think, Juan, that kneeling for the anthem does not garner any sympathy for the cause these people say
is
they're
that
trying
right?
to
Is that why Stevie Wonder? To Eddie
it's
Vedder
not working.
yesterday? Oh,
it's actually failing.
You watch. This is going to grow.
I am watching, and no one else is because the ratings are down. Sean Hannity joins the 5 next. He has a big show to tell you about. Brand new time slot with a special guest who rarely does interviews. Sean coming right up.
Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it
As you can see, we've moved back to 5 p.m., but make sure you are still watching at 9 p.m. Eastern because our good friend Sean Hannity is taking over that time slot, and he's right here to tell us what we can expect on his big show later. Welcome back to the 5, Sean.
All right, well, thank you. What? Thank you.
We owe you.
You hated being at 9.
No, I didn't hate it, and I tried not to complain. But the truth is, I never got used to it.
You know the key
And
words?
I like to go
tried not to complain.
I try not to complain, and I never really got used to it. And I would prefer to go to bed, but I won't go to bed till after your show.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of people that said to me, I can't stay up and watch your show at 10. I'm like, yes, you can. I mean, it's important.
Well, they did.
Fox and Friends is happy. They said they're going to watch it because Kilmeade said he used to doze off at by like 10:30 at the halfway mark. So now they're going to get to see.
You know, it's funny. When you really think about cable battles, wars, we lost 3/4 of our primetime audience. And the fact that the channel, I'm saying thanks to all those people out there, because they've been so supportive.
We've asked
He
a
was
lot of
laughing.
them.
He just got done saying, who would have ever thought Kennedy made it to the... Whoever thought he would have been the last man
Last in my
standing.
pool. I know. I thought you were the first to go.
Waters
Oh,
words.
my God.
Waters words. Okay, I really appreciate that.
I was wrong. I admit it. It doesn't happen a lot.
Now you have to be nice to Sean. Before, when you were with O'Reilly, you didn't have to be.
This is the first time we've ever been on the set together.
Oh, this is interesting.
It wasn't allowed before.
This is interesting. Yeah, arm wrestle, although he'd smoke you.
Yeah, I've seen the training
It's
videos.
smoking.
Have you
But
seen
it's
them?
a good point. There were like 8 or 9 serious crises that this company went through, and one could have sunk any network. And it's a testament to the audience.
It is.
And I think the system
Their
that has been
loyalty, yeah.
created and loyalty, because one of these could have.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll say this. And one of the reasons, and all of you that have been here from the beginning, I think you know that I've been the biggest champion fan of the show. And you guys used to always ask me, why do you think? I said, this is a hit show. And I said, there's such amazing chemistry. And the numbers you guys pulled from pretty much day one has been phenomenal and amazing and almost unprecedented in cable news. But with all that said, yeah, I never would have thought I'm the bridge between two generations.
But you know what? This is going back to the beginning because you were at 9 o'clock so many years ago. So to me, it feels really good, like going home again. And I'm super excited to watch tonight because you have a huge interview with a man who doesn't give interviews, Steve Bannon. You're going to talk with him about
I have
Alabama.
interviews this week with 4 people that rarely give interviews.
Fantastic.
Ooh.
4.
You gonna give us a hint?
Well,
Nope.
Come on. What can we
I will-
expect tonight?
Well, tonight's going to be really good. Obviously, we're talking about the same football issue you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, the NFL is going to have to make a decision. If they're not going to let the Dallas Cowboys put on their helmet in respect of the 5 slain officers last year, and they're not going to let, what was the name of the linebacker? Avery Williamson wanted to put never forget on the 9/11, on the 15th anniversary.
Yep.
And then they're going to allow the players to take a knee. Either they allow it or they don't allow it.
Right.
To me, one of the things I love about sports is that we get out of the political world. It unites everybody, and we like to see the most talented, gifted.
Wait a
Why are you
minute.
looking at me like
because,
that?
Because it's
Why
your
is
guy,
you having a
your
love in here?
guy,
Why?
your guy, Donald Trump, brings this into it, and then you want to blame the players.
Excuse me,
Kaepernick
the
brought it
players
in.
that took the knee, the players that aren't respecting
let
those
me
that
say,
fought, bled, and died.
You know what? Most NFL players were not doing anything until Donald Trump called their.
Let's get it bigger and bigger. So now we can see who the real men are.
One little hypocrisy. You resent people introducing politics into sports, yet you throw a football on your show. You introduce sports into politics.
I do introduce sports into politics if you really want. And everyone makes fun. The only reason it's a Nerf football is because when I use the real football,
You've hurt people.
I had to pay for every broken light.
And these lights are expensive.
They're not cheap.
But
And
it's
These
patriotic.
cameras are
It's red,
expensive.
white, and blue at
You should have
least.
paid for throwing lessons.
Ooh.
I'm awake now.
Wow.
It's
You're
been 6
obviously
months.
That was well. You
He
told me you
throws
were
a
playing
tight
tennis this
spiral.
weekend,
I did.
and you
very
said your
good.
shoulder hurt.
No, my shoulder is better now because I.
Well, I got a rotator cuff, and I'm not letting somebody operate.
Really? I
no.
thought that was the only way that you could get it healed. It was to operate.
Yeah, that's the only way. that's why I throw.
She's a
I
good
go a little
tennis player.
sidearm.
You got to see it.
By
I
the way,
particularly like
so
the coach.
You're going to talk to Bannon, and
Tonight.
Bannon will be down in Alabama, and
done.
we got a big Senate race there tomorrow.
Big.
Senate race. Now he is supporting Judge Moore, Roy Moore,
Right. So am I.
the Ayatollah of Alabama.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
The Ayatollah of Alabama.
That's what he
smear.
is, right?
Wow.
Yeah. But
Wow.
a smear. Get out of here.
Smear.
But
Ayatollah's not a nice guy, Juan.
But
You
I
see why
think,
this show is so good for
but I'm
balance?
thinking to myself, my man Sean is not going to buck the president. He's not going to buck Trump. But Trump is supporting Big Luther.
Okay, I've already endorsed Roy Moore. And before that, I endorsed Mo Brooks. So, frankly, Luther Strange is 1 for 3. I'll tell you why I think it is. My anger is at Mitch McConnell right now. He's at an 18% approval rating in his own home state of Kentucky. And it's really simple. It's when you make promises in life and you give your word, you show a sense of urgency. My biggest complaint about all of government, Republicans and Democrats, is they're not serving the 50 million Americans in poverty on food stamps out of the labor force, 51-year low home ownership rate. These are real Americans. They're really suffering, and government is failing them at a spectacular level. And maybe as somebody who's a conservative that votes more Republican, I expect more out of them. I know you're the party of no. The Democratic Party.
No, I say, I forgot who was the obstructionist party last
You're the party of keep your doctor plan and save money.
Can I ask you, though, something about that? Because I don't know a ton about that race, but so Roy Moore has said from the beginning that he was against the wall. He's recently backtracked on that.
Yes.
And he's been against the Graham-Cassidy bill to repeal and replace Obamacare. So wouldn't he be just as much a problem for President Trump as he is for Mitch McConnell?
I think the reason Mitch McConnell, last I read, I think it's about $3.5 million he's put in other, what we call, you and I have this discussion privately a lot, establishment. I want people that really are jazzed and motivated and don't go on vacation. They have the best health care. They have barbershops. They have workout rooms.
No, I get that. I was just but I'm actually just curious about this one, this race in particular.
They have barbershops? You didn't hear about the Senate barbershop?
You can't tell.
That's a good point.
At least you still need one.
Point. You know, look, at the end of the day, I think we could do so much better for the American people.
I don't disagree. I just am curious about this particular case because he actually works against, he says he was against it. I know he's changed his mind on the wall of late, but Luther Strange has actually been for it, been for President Trump all along.
Listen,
but because he's...
As long as we get the agenda done, I'd be happy.
Right.
You know, and
agree.
It's funny, in 2014, I put out the Conservative Solution Caucus. And the solutions are simple. You balance your budget, you live within your means, you repeal and replace Obamacare, health cooperatives, health savings accounts, you control your borders, you have a tough national defense. We want every American. I'm the dishwasher. I'm the guy at 12 washing dishes by hand. And I have had an opportunity to have the American dream work in my life at a spectacular level that I can tell you right now,
Indeed.
I never deserved. And I just want every single person to have the rung of the ladder put in place, and government is an obstacle. And this is something we would agree on.
I think we
want hope and opportunity for people, and they're not getting it.
Well, I don't know that you're saying that somehow because Luther Strange is coming in, he's just not going to knock the table over. And I think that's all he's going to do.
I think Roy Moore is going to be more on the conservative side. He's going to be with the Ted Cruz's and probably challenging the leadership. And whether you like it or not, they had 7.5 years of
Wait a second.
telling us
so
repeal,
Mitch is not a conservative anymore because you're a Trump guy.
No, Mitch hasn't gotten off his big fat and gone to work and rolled up his sleeves with urgency.
Can I just put a word
they're both
in?
from Alabama, so how bad could they be?
I'm for Luther Strange.
Can I just join this show and be done at 6 o'clock?
Yes, there you go.
Hey,
You got to vote for Luther Strange. He has the best name ever. He sounds like he sounds like a villain from a comic book. Dr. Luther Strange. He was like made radioactive. He was a veterinarian made radioactive by a mutant bunny.
And he's like 7
We
feet
need
tall.
7
feet tall. No, but his name, Luther Strange, is...
Once we get Kid Rock in the Senate, we'll be all set.
We'll be all set.
What about
You want
Doug
to tell
Jones?
everybody what you said to me in
See
the
how much
in the
we love
green room?
Hannity?
What did I say?
I said I'm taking eye drops because I have a problem with my eye. You go, can I see it? Is everything good in there?
That's what he does. He takes everybody. It's so
I always
crazy.
check everybody's
when I have that
medications.
eye injury, yeah.
What are you going to say when the Democrat wins that Alabama seat?
Nothing, because it won't happen. It won't happen.
Okay, so
You will take a knee.
on a personal note from the five, we do want to say thank you so much, Sean, because
Thank
when
you.
when this show first started, you were out there in the front supporting us and really pushing and saying that
promoting
this was
on the
something
radio.
special when nobody believed in us, and this guy was like, they've got it here. And you
Listen,
always say my friends
I
in the
really
flesh.
mean this.
Thank you so much.
I'm blessed to know all of you personally, except him.
Yeah, we don't get along. Are we allowed to get along now?
I never said
Are
a
we good?
word.
You never said a word. Please, you've seen me in the elevator. I'm not going to repeat what you said.
I'm not going to repeat what you said. So.
I didn't say anything.
All right.
But wait, you and O'Reilly are friends now. You went on a show. Where did he go to your
This is
show?
Greg's fault.
He was recently at my house.
Yes. That must have been fun.
It was fun, actually.
Yeah.
It
He doesn't
really was.
drink, you know.
Look, I'm really
I was trying to go.
I did mention that to him.
He's like, Sean, you got to read this. It's a bestseller.
Actually, I did read his book. It's really good.
I know. It's very
Right,
good.
Hannah, yeah, you say something. All right.
But can I say
All
one
time
last
we
thing?
have for-
I'm
yes.
proud of everybody on this show. You guys have done so well. And
Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Remember?
We love you guys. I love all you
Heidi,
guys.
you know, she said you throw like a girl.
All right.
thanks a lot.
See how much we love Sean Hannity, and I know you do too. So don't forget to catch him at his brand new time. It is going to be amazing. 9 p.m. Eastern tonight on the Fox News Channel. We are all going to be watching. Much more to come on the 5. Stay right there.
I check it once, then I check it twice. Oh, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. Down the bus stop, your feet start clapping.
A declaration of war. That's how North Korea is interpreting President Trump's new tweet over the weekend that the country's leadership won't be around much longer. Kim Jong-un's foreign minister firing back and issuing very concerning new threat this morning.
This is clearly a declaration of war. Since the United States declared war on our country, we will have every right to make countermeasures, including the right to shoot down the United States strategic bombers, even when they're not yet inside the airspace border of our country.
The White House pushed strongly back on that earlier today.
We've not declared war on North Korea, and frankly, the suggestion of that is absurd. It's never appropriate for a country to shoot down another country's aircraft when it's over international waters.
So, Jesse, what they're trying to do here is to say, like, just calm down. This is actually not a problem. But this is not a season of 24. This is like this is serious business.
Yeah, Little Rocket Man's like most Washington politicians. He's all talk and no action. The guy's a great bluffer. He's not shooting down a B-1 bomber. He's not attacking Guam. He's not going to fire a missile at California. He's cagey, though, because he does just enough to keep up the threat and to consolidate his power domestically, but not enough to invite an attack. The issue is, every time he does detonate a bomb or launch a missile, his scientists gain enough knowledge to be able to ultimately create the capability to put a nuke on an ICBM, and then we're living under a nuclear blackmail situation. So that's the problem.
Do you think that Kim Jong-un is sort of asking for a preemptive strike by doing these sort of provocative things?
I don't get it. How can you have a declaration of war if we're already technically at war? We never stopped. It's like your ex 15 years later announcing that she's still dumping you. I get it, North Korea. We're not Facebook friends.
I can't relate.
Here's the good thing. Trump has an uncanny way of taking every existing problem and involving everyone. This isn't a way like the NFL. Why is North Korea more bellicose than usual when the threat hasn't changed? Obama said the very same thing about us being able to destroy North Korea, but he said it in an academic kind of way. The difference is the progress. We have China, and we have even the UN, and we have Russia to some extent playing our game. That's new. So that's why North Korea is more bellicose. The threat of annihilation, Obama had mentioned before.
No,
but
I
there's
think
also
that
the progress of the technology on the North Korean side, which is they're much farther along than we thought they would be.
Right. I mean, what worries me is the bullying talk, the kind of schoolyard talk. I don't like the idea that it's become so mano-mano between President Trump and the North Korean leader, because one, I don't think he deserves to have that stature, but two, all of a sudden it becomes like, you're not going to show me up, buddy. I got it better than you. This is ridiculous. This is not the way.
Kimberly in here before we have to break, because we only have 30 seconds. Kimberly, your best thoughts.
Thank you. Aren't they always, though? I try. Look, the situation is the president has an obligation to protect and defend the United States from enemies, foreign and domestic. And certainly North Korea has been more than provocative in terms of its threats, in terms of its conduct and its actions in furtherance of those threats. We have to take this seriously. I don't feel in any way that the president has declared, a war against North Korea. But at the same time, they have to be very careful, because I think they've pushed this all the way down to first and goal for us.
But I think the reason that North Korea responds, because what he said at the UN suggested that maybe he would take preemptive action.
I don't buy that at all, and I don't give them any pass whatsoever for anything.
And also, retaliation is not a war crime. Okay, please stay with us, because we're going to celebrate the Five's return to 5 p.m. with some of your creative videos and photos about how happy you are that we're back at 5. That's next.
Welcome back to
Tina who won and Waters and that good fell show got the right. Your interactions make me smile. All the different ways you speak your mind. So keep the magic alive, and no matter what time, I'll keep watching the fight.
Nice.
Wow, that was excellent. We really like that. Thank you. That was one of our fabulous
bravo.
fans with a little ditty about our move back to 5 p.m. We asked you on Friday to tweet us videos or pictures to help celebrate, and we've gotten some great ones.
What's that?
We'll be airing them all week, so keep sending them. Use the hashtag welcome
Happy
back
Hour.
to 5. What'd you say?
Well, that's a
Yeah,
picture
wait,
of
it's not
happy hour, I
with the
believe.
5.
Happy Hour.
I couldn't see that.
Excellent. Kimberly, what do you think? People sending in videos like that. That was terrific.
No, I thought it was fantastic. I got some videos and pictures sent to me too.
Sorry about that. I had a little too much wine. Oh,
Are
look
you
at his
happy to
giant
be
hand.
back at 5,
Well,
Jesse?
you're creative.
Yeah, well, I was never at 5, but I'm happy to be in 5. And,
Whoa, what is that picture of?
yeah, what is that?
Wow.
Wait, is somebody in bed?
Well, you know, we say DVR the 5.
Ah, unicorn.
unicorn.
Look at that.
Oh,
Unicorn
very
cup.
cute.
Very cute.
And that has the horn, Greg.
Yes.
Oh,
she's
look at
happy.
that.
Oh,
very
so
happy.
cute.
Party time.
It is pretty amazing
She
how many
looks great.
people in my.
Ah,
Oh,
yes.
there
I
you
didn't do
go.
like
That's a
scientific
Manhattan.
research.
This
it
is
in
the whole
Manhattan?
point.
Yeah.
The people wanted the 5 back at 5 because they
It's
drank.
Really
because they wanted to
cute.
start drinking.
Oh, he's got the wine. There
Oh,
you
look
go.
at that. You know what,
There you
though?
go,
I go
Dana.
into
Red wine
people.
for you. Oh, look at
What
Greg's
is that?
face.
I don't know.
What's happening there?
Oh,
Greg's got a
my
crush.
God.
Man Crush Monday.
Yes.
No, but I was going to say to you, people at the gym
That's
say
cute.
that they watch while they're working out. Apparently,
Yes,
it's a big
we like
hour.
that. We love our workout.
Oh, there you
And then
go.
also the moms who are
How
cooking
cute.
dinner with the kids doing the homework.
Yeah.
You know, at my gym, they don't have Fox on.
Al Jazeera.
yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness,
Wow.
goodness
Oh, my
gracious.
goodness.
Wow, it looks
Wait
like
a minute.
at
These are
Disney?
just pictures of Disneyland.
These are people saying hi with the 5. The 5 fans. They're pretty happy.
okay.
I would say that my scientific survey said 98% of people are happy with our return to 5.
I'm just
Wow.
tired of getting. Don't email me or text me anymore or tweet me about
Being back at 5.
5 and then complaining. Do not.
Right.
Well, but I think there's some people who think, gosh, we used to watch you and it was 9 at night.
Hey, you know what?
But you know
Come on,
what?
DVR.
Or come, you know what? Switch over. You know the show now and you know how much you like it, so watch at 5. We're great. We're great any hour.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we are great.
All
Any
right.
hour.
Just a
So,
show that
you
keeps
know what?
on giving.
Well, that's my point. We're going to keep celebrating Kimberly
Yes.
next week, and we're going to play your song choices as bumpin' music. So,
Not me.
Yes,
Yep,
you are,
even
Gregory.
you're included.
So
Nope.
keep sending them
Do it.
using hashtag welcome
doing it.
back to 5. One
Not
more
doing
thing
it.
up next.
Why not? What if you...
Our house, it has a crown. There's a
Shocking.
One more thing, Jesse.
All right, so yesterday I was in Washington, D.C. at a charity event. It was a full court press on ALS event. There I am with Michael Onrix. He's a friend of mine. ALS is Lou Gehrig's disease. Remember, that's why everybody was dumping buckets of water over their head. Now we know what that's about. I was given an award there for some of my work. It was actually kind of like a wrestling belt, if you could see it right there, kind of an unorthodox there. I'm holding it up like a champion. And if you guys want to donate to Full Court Press on ALS, they have a GoFundMe page, Full Court Press
And
on
making
ALS.
progress?
Making progress day
Terrific,
by day.
Jesse.
Yes,
That's
sir.
great.
Thank you
Good
very
job,
much.
Jesse.
Yeah.
And
You
he's
are-
here.
you
He
are a
cares
nice
lot about
person.
that.
Yeah.
Despite what people say.
Yes, despite what your family says.
Oh.
Dana?
Cheap shot.
All right. One thing is, you thought I was going to go to bed early tonight.
You're not.
I'm not. For this week, I'm going to host. It's called Fox News Tonight for 1 week only at 10 p.m. So please join us tonight. Ben Shapiro will be on tonight.
Ooh,
which
that's
will
a
be
good
fun.
guess.
All right, Dana.
But my one more thing is that country is coming to American Idol because, you know, that is the most important music genre that we have.
Ah.
And it was announced today that Luke Bryan will be named as a judge on American Idol. It's going to air next March on ABC. The reason I'm doing this is that last week when I did my one more thing,
You cut him out of the
I
photo.
cut him out of the picture, but not only that, we spelled his name wrong.
Ooh.
So lovely young producer, new to country music, but she's learning. She said Luke Bryan, and I've been embarrassed ever since. So we apologize and congrats on American Idol.
All right, enough. No one cares. Glad we fired that producer. Kimberly.
Everyone cares about this. Time for Kimberly's Royal News. All right. right. Oh, no. Oh, my God. All right, fine. Prince Harry and his girlfriend, American actress Meghan Markle, made their first public appearance together today. Now, the young royal couple held hands and sat together at a wheelchair tennis game in Toronto. As you know, Prince Harry is visiting over there for the Invictus Games for wounded veterans, and he founded the Paralympic-style competition to raise awareness about the challenges that wounded service members face and allow them to compete internationally against other soldiers. Fantastic cause. I'm very excited for them. I look forward to many more segments like this.
All right, time for something
looking good,
less inspirational. I hate these people. Last week, I did 6 different airplanes in 3 days, and one thing that kept popping up, young people with giant bedroom pillows. They look like they're going to a slumber party, but they're going on a plane. Yeah. And they have their giant, it's a bedroom pillow. No, leave that at home.
The neck pillow.
No, it's not a neck pillow.
No, you got to get the neck pillow.
Yeah, they got to get the neck pillow. It looks very silly. You don't impress anybody
with
your
your
big giant pillow.
You don't have any pictures of this?
No, I would never photograph
Wow,
that.
you mailed that in.
Juan.
All right, well, no early fall break for Chelsea Manning. The Canadian government won't let her into the country. Yes, Thursday morning she was blocked from entering Canada on grounds of serious criminality. The offense she was convicted of, this is according to the Canadians, would equate to an indictable offense, namely treason, if committed in Canada. So Manning says she's going to challenge the decision. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he's going to look into the case.
All right, set your DVRs, never miss an episode of The Five. Special report up next.